Hey folks, holidays are coming up. Some of you are going to be getting OK Google, the Google Home Smart Assistant. You might be getting an Alexa, or I like the little dot, the smaller one, or there's even a small donut-shaped Google Smart Home. Maybe you'll be getting a Samsung smartphone, just got some great ratings, which comes with Bixby, its personal assistant. Apple's got one out. All right, let me put these guys out of the way for a second. You've been reading, like me, probably stories, scary ones, about microphones in your home. What happens when these devices are in your home and are always listening to you? Well, are they always listening? If you're one of my privacy technology-related friends, you're focused on the requirements of the new European General Data Protection Regulation, which has a mandate of privacy by design, using technical means to make sure that you're only sharing, processing, and collecting the data you intend, privacy by default, that you're minimizing what is collected. And I think critical, therefore, to understand the way the different microphones work. Are they always on? Do they store data locally? Do they store data in the cloud? Do they share it with third parties? If you're just a regular old friend of mine who's interested in getting one of these things, or maybe you got one, or you're thinking about buying one for the holidays, maybe also useful to understand how these things work, because so many of the stories, I read them and I'm like, I wouldn't want one of those, but I kind of like having these in our home and office. First of all, even if you don't have one of these devices, you probably have one of these. And yes, you may have used Siri, you may have used OK Google, the Google Home Assistant. You might be using Samsung. Ooh, I said OK Google and it woke up. You might be using Bixby. Many of us have.
Here's what I found on the web.
Many of us have these devices set to go on simply by lifting them, or by squeezing, or by saying OK Google or OK Siri. So you already are living with a smart assistant. It happens to be in your phone. So you should be interested in understanding what's collected. Is your phone listening all the time? Obviously it's not. It's listening for a keyword, and it's keeping any information that it hears on the phone, because it's just listening for that keyword, and then it drops information. And when you say, OK Google, hi Siri, hello Bixby, it opens up, and now you can give commands. Well, that's what these things do as well. We get all excited because, well, it's not a phone, it's a different form factor. It's a squiggly shaped thing that is, frankly, only a microphone and a speaker to enable the assistant to live free from that phone. But somehow, even though this is pretty intimate, right? You got this one with you in the bathroom. I don't have one of these in the bathroom. We have a couple of them in the house. You got this in your pocket, in your car. It's with you at all times. So let's not get all wrapped up differently when all of a sudden it is here in our home. People say, well, wait a second. Other people walk into your house, and if the line is open here, well, their data is collected. Guess what? I got this thing on me. And if I have it enabled so that I can voice control it using the assistant, the exact same things are happening. So let's not get all excited about the fact that it is in our home. Now, look, it's obviously different, right? In some ways, it's different. We're becoming comfortable using these devices to control our doors, to turn on music. Our kids, maybe they're not interacting with our phone, but they're interacting with these. So I don't want to minimize that there are social factors that make our interactions. I can see the assistant here. I don't. It's like I'm speaking to Siri, this disembodied voice, and here it's almost like a little robot type form, and so it has a different anthropomorphic sense. All right, so how do they work? Are they always listening? The way they work is they're listening, the device, locally in your house for their wake word. They're not connected and sending data out to anybody. They're keeping that data locally. And then when they don't hear their name, they dump it. They dump it. Otherwise, 24/7 of like humming of nobody home in your house would be sent and power would be used, and that would be ridiculous. Okay. When you do wake them up, now it's as if you're typing on a keyboard. What you say is being sent, log recorded, just like you go ahead and you search on Amazon for stuff. You're now telling Amazon to play music, to buy something, to download something, and that's all stored in your account, just like a voice, just like typing and texting. So just think about it. Not all of us have full ability to type with our hands. Many of us have arthritis. We're elderly. We're dealing with a disability. We're on the other side of the room. And so what we are simply doing is enabling interaction with the internet through this new kind of voice input. That's obviously useful, right? Well, the question is, are they listening in? How do we ensure that these things are always available so that they can respond when we're ready? Well, we could require that you go over and push a button. Now, if you want to do that, if you are privacy concerned, like some of my friends are, we got a button here on top. I don't have it plugged in now, but if I pressed it, you'd see the red light, and now I've turned the microphone off. So if you want, well, get up and go over or sit near it, and then you can use the voice command. Now, obviously, that would defeat some of the purpose, but if that's what you want to do, that's fine. Can a hacker hack these things, turn them on, and then listen to your intimate debates, arguments, and conversations? There was a story just recently that talked about a hacker who hacked. Now, here's what he did. He had one of them, and he worked on it, and he got into it, and he was able to make a change so that it would then be open and send information. So if there are hackers breaking into your house who don't have microphones of their own to spy on you with, and who want to turn this device on physically so they can then spy on you, I guess that's a real problem. But I don't know. That hacker breaks into my house. I don't know what he's doing with his microphone or what she's doing with the microphone. Clearly remotely accessing these, which we have not seen. They've done a pretty good job, I think, at locking these down. We've not seen anybody remotely access. What we've seen for this, as well as we saw an exploit that the CIA released, where they were able to, again, with physical access to the device, enable them to turn into spying devices. So again, if the CIA is getting into your home and monkeying with your TV, well, guess what? They probably put bugs under the rest of your beds and in your closet and everywhere else as well, right? So I don't want to minimize the potential risk. And if we hear about remote people being able to hack in and enable them, but the companies seem to have designed those to make that fairly hot, so we haven't seen that. So remember, if you want to use the microphone switch, sure, go ahead, turn it off. Google on its latest enabled that as well. They had a little bit of a bug where it didn't work well, and they had to fix that. All right, Bixby is the Samsung one. Doesn't get as much attention, but it's getting better, and it's built into their devices and their phones. So, is it for you? Well, how do we use it? My kids use it to play music. My son uses it as an alarm clock. He says, "Okay, Google, set an alarm for 6 a.m." And then it goes off in the morning. I usually come in and I say, "Okay, Google, play soft music instead." And I try to get him up like that. If I come back in 10 minutes later, I can say, "Turn on rock music."
Sleepy time.
This Google just heard me and is now...
Sorry, something went wrong. Please try opening Google Play Music app to continue.
And is now starting to... Go off! Stop! There we go. Now, instead of fumbling, actually, I could have said, "Okay, Google, turn the music off." I find that what I do very often is, especially if I'm traveling and I'm worried about setting an alarm, maybe I'm in bed already, I will say, "Okay, Google, set an alarm for 6 a.m.
There, your alarm's set for tomorrow at 6 a.m.
So that was a lot easier than like the multiple pecks that it would have taken. Open the clock, roll up the alarm, set for 6 a.m. So even those of us who are perhaps able-bodied, but there are commands that might take multiple steps far easier to do some of these things by voice. I certainly try to switch to be very careful when I'm driving. If I want to send a message, yes, I was only doing it at the red light, but then the red light changes and you didn't finish the message. We've all been in that situation. I'm driving around Washington. You're all on your phones. I see it. Next time I try to merge, someone doesn't let you in. You think they're being rude, and then you realize it's not that they're rude. It's they're on their phone, so they're death-defyingly rude, right? Using your voice, maybe not the best option. You probably shouldn't be doing it at all, but using your voice to say, send a test message to so-and-so or call so-and-so, the voice recognition has gotten good enough. Now, can they do all of this locally, right? If I'm saying play music and I don't have the music on my device, since I've got it linked to Spotify, well, sure, I have to send a message remotely. But if I'm simply saying send this message or trying to control the commands that exist on the phone, why does it have to go to Google or to Amazon? The argument is that in order to understand my fast-talking Brooklyn accent and learn and be able to understand different languages, somebody with a lisp, somebody with a speech disability, the machine learning that's necessary needs these large volumes of data. I don't know that it's always going to be like that. We're already starting to see companies doing much more processing locally. Apple, for some of their machine learning, using data that you type into your keyboard without actually pulling the data off. They're doing some of that locally. Google has launched a camera that takes pictures when it recognizes faces in its environment, and it does that by processing locally. And so there are a range of ways where perhaps if you're going to have a conversation and not wait for data to be sent back and forth from the internet, you'll want these things acting a little bit more like robots that can converse and respond very quickly. And so you do see the companies looking to see that they can do more locally on the device, but that doesn't work for everything, and that frankly is perhaps one of the paths where some of the different processing. Anyway, just wanted a quick update because some of you are getting these for the holidays. So, one more thing. The Echo has a new feature where it can call other Echoes. Now, maybe you're calling an elderly parent and they don't know how to answer it. Maybe you're calling somebody who doesn't have one of these, but they can download the Alexa app onto their phone. When you use an intercom in your house, maybe you have a few of these in your house and you want to use it almost as an intercom. You obviously don't want to call the other room. You may want to be able to just speak into that room. Hey, my son, get up, you didn't get up. On the other hand, you don't want strangers dropping in, right? And all of a sudden, speaking or listening. So there is a setting, this is default off, but there's a setting where if you want to be able to drop in, to use it, for instance, as intercom where you can speak room to room without having someone have to pick up and answer. Or if someone else is in your family network, maybe you have an elderly parent and you want to be able to drop in, hey, mom, are you there? Is everything okay? Answer. You could enable that feature. You don't want that on by accident because otherwise one of your kids will say, as a friend of mine had happened recently, hey, call so-and-so, and indeed your device will call the other device. So take a look. The settings are there. The settings do work. I'll close with one, I think, heartwarming story. Elderly fellow in our neighborhood, a parent of some friends in his elder years, was a little bit disoriented, and if you're sleeping at night and you wake up and you're not sure what time it is, and your vision isn't great, you can really be very disoriented. What is it, morning? Is it night? You have people sometimes getting up, getting dressed, and then walking out, and they don't realize that it's in the middle of the night. And so the nice story I heard when I visited the family, they told us that he had an Echo, and this really wonderful elderly gentleman would say, Alexa, what time is it, in the middle of the night? And it would answer him, and he, could understand and situate himself. So I think we do need to recognize that for some of us, it's gimmick and music and fun. And for other people, these are incredibly important accessibility devices that really can help with their quality of life. Anyway, happy holidays.